Because you scary and crazy. Crazy Earl. Women ain't pressed to jump into bed with crazy ninjas because you doing the booty to him, and then before you know it, you don't move the way he wants you to move, and he done pulled out the blicker on your ass. Whereas with men, they run to the crazy women's because they think the crazy women's vagina is better. We don't run to crazy ninjas because we scared they may choke our asses to death. I don't hear nobody out there. Good morning, y'all. I'm fitting to continue talking about DMX. We're not getting a lot of views. I understand why. Because it's a whole lot of wham what the baby gonna do. And some of you guys are straight DMX. Y'all like, it's all the mama's fault. It doesn't excuse the behavior. Yeah, but what about when your children needed you, DMX? Wasn't that the reason why you ran around there to buckle boots to resolve some issues between you and your son? I'm just saying. The next thing is we're going to push through this book because you know how we do. If we're not getting views, we will push through a book. And I've already decided what the next book is going to be. Those of you who are paying members, y'all already know we're still riding this 80s, 90s wave, maybe early 2000 wave. In this period, I am going to encourage all of you, if you're not a paying member, please be sure to join here on the YouTube or over there on Patreon, because when we have low views, the paying membership is what levels out the money that is missed when I don't get a lot of views. Now, with all that being said, let's continue reading Earl. When what the baby gonna do? The number of stolen cars I drove around Yonkers. It's ironic, the first time I was actually caught for the crime was in Long Island. When I was younger, my mother and her friend Thelma had me scared to death about getting locked up. Tell him about what they do to the boys in jail. They always said when my mother was beating my ass. Just like the officers on Alexander Street. The two of them thought a good deterrent was making me think that on the first day I walked into jail, somebody was going to F me in my booty. Well, it didn't happen like that. But I did arrive at the farm with a real hard-ass attitude. Well, I don't know a lot about the jails, okay, because I ain't never been to one. And I pray to the Jesus that I don't ever have to go to one, you know. Listen, you can get caught up on some bullshit. People get caught up on some bullshit every day. I'm just letting you know that I try my hardest to never put myself in a situation where I have to go to jail, because I don't want to have to be somebody's old-ass girlfriend sitting around there munching on coochie just to live. I don't want to have to do all that, okay? Now, when I was younger, I would be like, I would just find the biggest, baddest, boo, blah, 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 and be her girlfriend. No, child, the years of me being a sex kitten and sex pot is over, child. I watched this dude, Banky Pound. He's from Virginia, but they claim him in D.C. in the feds, probably because he did a lot of business around there on the south side. But child, I be listening to Banky Pound's story, girl, and I be like, oh my goodness, these ninjas are real animals. They are animals. Okay, if y'all get a chance, go around there to the Banky Pound and or Team Banky Pound, something like that, and check out his videos. You are going to be shocked and awed. Well, then maybe you won't be. Surprisingly, there are a lot of weak people in jail. Not everyone is the kind of crazed lunatic you need to be afraid of. If you had a good amount of game on the streets, you would normally be able to find someone to take advantage of on the inside. Yup, that's what Banky be saying. It's like there are a lot of phony gangsters around whose cards you can pull. Like the dudes who always have something extra to say, but only ever say it into the air. Your word to the mother, y'all mother hunchies need to recognize. The B will see three dudes by the phone and feel like he has the occasion to start complaining. Y'all can't be hogging up that phone time, man. Y'all know what's up with that. Actually, no, we don't know what's up with that phone time, Holmes. Why don't you let us know? And as a matter of fact, which one of us are you referring to? So I didn't have much difficulty finding the inmates I could pressure into putting things on my commissary. The bigger challenge, though, was to get one of them to smuggle you in some weed during visiting hours. A good bag of smoke was worth far more than a chocolate bar or an extra pack of Newports. For 2 weeks, me, Paz, and Rondo had this white kid in our pocket. Yup, that's what Banky be saying. They say, man, Banky told me, baby, you got to stop with all that snoring. Banky, he ain't tell me, but Banky in his videos, he be like, let me tell you something. Out in the real world, the whites are in total control. But behind them bars, them white people be praying for the predators in there. They be looking for them. Them white dudes be, man, they be getting their girlfriends to smuggle in drugs. They be getting, oh man, it be sad, man. If I was white, man, I would never do nothing to get my ass locked up. And I mean that literally. For 2 weeks, me, Paz, and Rondo had this white kid in our pocket. Have your sister bring us in some smoke or I'll break your effing neck. Scared of us, 3 thugs. Our friendly assistant never spoke unless spoken to, and always politely stayed on his side of the mod. So I should have known something was wrong the day he walked over to us out of the blue. So you said you wanted me to get my sister to bring the weed, right? He asked us one morning. Yeah, mother sucker. We already told you that. What, are you stupid? Okay, because she says she's going to bring the weed in today. Yeah, you better have it today, too. 10 minutes later, after the riot squad rushed in, locked the whole mod down and tossed and strip searched everyone, Paz, Rondo, and me were on our way to the big house. The charge, extortion. Yep. After 2 weeks in the hole, I was transferred out of the lockdown block into the minors. In Suffolk County, since kids were constantly fighting and getting out of control, the warden of the minor block set up a 23-hour lockdown. At the farm, I had heard about this guy who was making a name for himself on the rap tip called K-Solo. Supposedly, he was the cousin of an MC named Earl Simmons, who was a big star at the time with the duo EPMD. And the dude K-Solo was supposed to be a big deal, and the only reason why he wasn't a big deal out on the streets in heavy rotation on the radio or whatever was because he was locked up. Yeah. I mean, the jail holds plenty of NBA players, rappers, actors. I mean, so many people just lost opportunities. Baby, damn, let me tell you something that I did not know about Earl Simmons. Like I should have known, but I didn't know. Same thing about Timberland. They admitted to having a pill addiction. And it's funny how they didn't talk about the pill addiction until they got over it. Earl Simmons admitted to a pill addiction, and he said he was so far gone. I think it was on the podcast. Is it Drink Champs?
I was on drugs for 15 years, right? I was doing Percocet from 2008 to 2022, right? June 2nd would be my 2 years of me being sober. I understand about that substance abuse. If this is what somebody has, you know?
It's serious.
And to anybody they told me this in the rehab. I can tell effing to he blue in the face to go get help. It ain't gonna matter.
Right.
You saw interventions before with people.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be ready.
Right. You
So everybody needs to stop with like go and talk to each other and who's talking to them. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
The individual itself has to change. I had to say too to myself, I gotta go inside.
Right.
Even though I let all that time go by to where at the end I'm taking these 30s that are mixed with fentanyl. So when I go in there and take my piss test, they say, "Oh, you do fentanyl too, don't you?" I'm like, "I don't do fentanyl. So that means that the fentanyl and the pressed pills I was getting, because again, the street is providing me now. Now, the doctors, I'm on the street getting pills. Of course, people...
The doctors cut you off?
I never went back to them. You can't go back. They ain't gonna be giving you pills. You gotta go to the street. Wow. But again, the nigga who I was dealing with, I didn't know that he was dirty. But again, if I'm spending $8,000 a month, of course he don't give a fuck if the pills is fucked up.
That pill addiction is something terrible. That's why they don't let you niggas get pills no more when you go to the hospital. They got a whole new program. They not giving away them pills because they trying to get in front of that opioid addiction. Man, that shit is a monster. You can't F with my man Solo, the kid kept yelling. And of course I had my mans with me. What? Is you crazy? This is DMX's house, punk. It was a good thing that I had been writing the whole time I was locked up because K Solo had a lot of rhymes. Every time I hit him with a hot one, he had a response. He was no joke. And after 45 minutes, there was no clear-cut winner. But there was time for one more round before we had to go back in. And I had just written a song called Breaking It Down, where I used a different style in every verse. I was kind of skeptical about how well it would go over, but it was the only rhyme I had left. Luckily, that last verse killed it. K Solo and I never battled again. In the days after the two of us would just chill and talk through the fence, it was like rapping had given us a mutual respect for each other. I felt good, and I spent the last weeks of my bid in Suffolk County writing more rhymes and just trying to stay out of trouble. Now that I had my first official win under my belt, I just wanted to get back to Yonkers and show everybody that DMX the Great was a bad mother huncher. So eventually he was released from Suffolk County. Okay, you can't stay in jail forever. And what he did didn't get him in jail forever. All right. So he home now. Selling mixtapes was the best idea I had in a long time. And after a couple of weeks hustling them, almost the whole city was buzzing with my music. It was like the more tapes I sold on Warburton, the more I took down to Ravine. The more I sold on Ravine, the more I brought up to Mulford. Once School Street was filling me, then I took a bunch of tapes to Slow Bomb. Soon I was walking all over Yonkers, making money from my raps, flipping hot songs on the radio into my own DMX the Great joints. But even though I believed right away that my versions were better than the originals, a lot of times to get somebody to buy a tape, I had to show and prove, and that didn't bother me at all. Do you rap? If I saw a group of guys hanging out on the corner, I would run right up on them. Want a battle? If somebody even acted like they rapped, I wanted to get it on. I didn't care if I knew the brother or not. If he was from School Street or any other part of town, I just wanted to challenge anybody. While hip-hop was becoming more and more popular, there weren't too many people around that were interested in making the music. Guys like Imperial JC or the Moet Posse had stuff to throw parties with, and they did a few shows, but they were much older than me. And the brothers that just freestyled on the block didn't have any equipment to take it further. But there was one guy I heard about who had his own microphone and tape deck in his apartment. He called himself Lord Kasum. The first thing I noticed when I walked into Kasum's apartment was the number of records he had. Hundreds of albums and 12-inch singles were all thrown about the floor. Others were tucked together in a row of milk crates he had stacked against the wall. To test him, I asked if he had this funk joint called Mardi Gras and this Billy Squire dance record called Big Beat that I had heard on the radio the week before. When he pulled out 2 copies of each of them, I knew he was legit. By this time, I had rhymes that I knew would go over well with certain instrumentals, but messing around with random DJs, I just didn't have access to all the music that I wanted. Not only did Kasum have the right music, but he could perfectly cut and loop whatever I wanted. Just keep coming with the beats, K. 'Cause dog, I'm telling you, I got fucking rhymes. A few weeks after I met Kasum, he told me that a friend of his named Daryl D. Mack wanted to battle me. I knew the dude was whack, but I thought instead of us battling on the corner, why didn't Kassan invite me over to the apartment and we could go at it on tape? He had a little rap, and that way we'd have something to sell afterwards. It was a good idea. The Palace was an R&B club in New Rochelle. Every other week they held a talent show that was, air quotes, open call, which meant that anyone could show up and perform. My cousin Mike told me that he heard some pretty good MCs in there. A few weeks before, I wondered if I could get the same kind of response in a club that I was getting with my mixtapes on the street. When I was coming off stage, this guy approached me and said he was looking for some rap acts. He had a studio he worked with nearby and wanted to get artists in there to try to get them a record deal. He wasn't trying to sell me a big dream, but he thought that I was talented and should call him. His name was Jack McNasty. Please, boo, please stop snoring. Please, baby, please stop snoring. Please. Shit. One of the first places Jack sent my demo to, though, wasn't a label. It was a hip-hop magazine, The Source. At the time, The Source was just a black and white newsletter, but they had a new artist column they ran every month called Unsigned Hype. And Jack thought if I won that, we would have no problem getting attention from the record companies. The magazine needed a picture of me, so the next day, Jack brought a photographer to the studio. I borrowed TQ's long black trench coat to go over the white turtleneck that I was wearing, put on a hat with the skull and crossbones patch on the front, and we took some shots. Now I had a full-blown demo tape and a black and white glossy photograph. DMX the Great was official, more official than I had ever been. But that still didn't give me any more props with the chicks. That's because you scary and crazy, Crazy Earl. Women ain't pressed to jump into bed with crazy ninjas because you doing the booty to him, and then before you know it, you don't move the way he wants you to move, and he done pulled out the blicker on your ass. Whereas with men, they run to the crazy women's because they think the crazy women's vagina is better. We don't run to crazy ninjas because we scared they may choke our asses to death. After a few months working together, Jack McNasty invited me to move into his house in New Rochelle. He thought it would be a good idea for me to be closer to the recording studio we were working in. He also hoped that my living with him would help keep me out of trouble. And until some music money kicked in, he wasn't going to charge me any rent. Now that I lived in New Rochelle, my vagina average rose sharply. I could get play with the local honeys that were bored with the guys that they saw in the hood every day. And after the Bill Blast battles proved that I was the baddest rapper around, chicks were more open. The year before, I probably would have still been bringing rats to the roof in Yonkers, but having a reputation and somewhere to go makes a lot of difference when you're trying to get some vagina. That's probably why Kassan started to think that he could play the hookup game with me. Yo, X, I got this girl who wants to meet you, he said to me one night at a bar called Arthur's. Her name was Tashura.
Do my favorite go-go song. Taking a ride on the east side, made a left on MLK. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day. Riding high on the west side, looking for a hood rat to play. Won't you come out and play? Won't you come out and play? Hey, taking a ride. Hey, hey, on the south side. Ooh, ooh. Hey, hey, hey. We like that good. Say what?